Welcome back, everyone. This is Par 73, bringing you a match between these two brilliant orders, the Alliance and Snap Krackle Die. Both of these teams are competing in the Myth World Cup 1999 tournament, taking place well over 15 years ago from this recording date. So we'll be investigating how the teams made out here. Both of them are in the top bracket, and both teams have not lost a match throughout the qualifying rounds. And while they've been in the top bracket, one of these teams will be losing their first match today. Another team staying undefeated. So let's hop right into the action. We have Alliance. They are the orange team here on Cracks on the Cloud Spine CTF. Synapsed is their captain, taking 21%. He's teamed up with the Vulch, Opus City Hunter, Mortor, Red Dogger, and Zap. And in the south, we have Snap Krackle and Die, led by Kensai. Joining him is Giblet, Copper, Dinsdale, Taoist Chi, and Rust Dragon. So with 45 seconds to go here, we'll just take a quick look at the strategies of the two teams. Snap opting for 5 dwarves, 2 alliances, 3. They'll have 1 extra goal there. Neither team opting for pus. And far less thrall for the Snap team. They have quite a bit of archers and the additional 2 dwarves. Looks like Alliance put those points into thrall and maxing out their warriors. Both teams maxing their Stygian knights here, I believe. 12 is the max, although I could be wrong, and the game will start here.
Game on.
This is the last match in the top bracket I have yet to cover. It's been an exciting top bracket. Fellowship of Stonheim faced off against the Saber Rummers. Saber Rummers having players in the Fellowship of Stonheim order, and ironically enough, they go forward. Fellowship of Stonheim headed down to the bottom bracket. Next up, we saw Civil versus BMF. BMF able to take an early lead in the series and just completely take over from there for the most part. I believe the match ends 3-2 in games, but with the large amount of points they got from maxing Civil in game 1 on CTF Cracks, this very map we're watching, they jumped out to a large lead and never lost it. And the third match in the top bracket was a Sucks at Myth 2 order versus the Mac Gamers Guild. That was a 5 versus 7 battle. MGG coming out on top there. Sammy will head to the bottom bracket. And so the losers of this match heading to the bottom bracket. We'll have to check up on who they will be playing against. I believe they will play the winner of Wolfpack and Companions. And so Alliance is going to control the mid here. They send the bulk of their units there. Not much on the flanks at all. The flank pressure might cause some of their players to return home. You can see Mortar moving back now. City Hunter saying I'm going back. So Alliance is reacting to these flanks. Meanwhile, Snap's mid is just kind of holding the area, scouting out. Keeping a presence there so this mid force of Alliance units can't simply just push fairly lightly defended flag, aside from these two frontline squads. Interesting to note, this is a 6-on-7 match. Player advantage going to Alliance here. And Dinsdale of Snap sending his 3 goals. I believe that's all his units on the map. Likely trying to come in for a contest here and some harassment. We have Kensai of Snap moving around the western part of the map. Copper moving around the east. Taoist Chi and Giblet holding mid from the combined forces of Synapse, Zap, and Opus. You can see City Hunter, Mortar. Going back to the defense, Synapse is actually going to control a dwarf on the defense as well as on the offense. Maybe he'll be passing that out, and it looks like communication has been cut off for Alliance while Snap is heavily coordinating their push and relaying enemy activity. City Hunter is going to take a more defensive approach here. He's probably going to go for the high round on these battlements, which can make or break a flag defense, as we've seen in previous matches. City Hunter will take some pot shots there at Dinsdale's goals. Still stagnant activity mid. Zap. His archers are idling on the Stygians. Stygians taking no damage from the arrows, of course. Alliance notes they're divided. And Zap reminds his team to be patient. Both teams still at 100% here, so the score is effectively 10-10. There has been no contest yet, and each team gets a point for every 10%. Looks like Opus might go poking around on the offensive over here. We'll have to see if Giblet responds, but he's not going to go too far. Taking Zap's words to heart on being patient. And Kensai better figure out what he's doing here, as Synapse is moving a dwarf up to the high battlement. He's not going to push inside against these warriors, which could spell danger for him. But this dwarf is going to push him back even farther, as it looks like Copper is backing off of the east. Synapse just in time to let off a shot. And it's going to take some archers down there. It's the first blood of the game going to Synapse, the Alliance captain. And it looks like Zap has used some of his fire arrows. He might have actually scored first blood himself on Taoist Chi's archer over here. His archers look battered and bruised.
Flag contested.
Each one has taken at least some damage, and we have a contest down here by Red Dog, harassing Rust Dragon's defense. Rust Dragon has a dwarf up on the battlement. It is the only dwarf on the battlement in the defense of Snap, and it's only defended by a warrior. I have to see how that adds up. As you can see here, the used arrows are just piling up. And there's Red Dog once again going for a contest. It's not going to net any new points. I believe with that contest, it's less than 50% in terms of unit trading point ratios between the two teams' units. So Alliance effectively scoring 2 points there for that ratio. Now a 0.51 to 0.75 would be a 5-point score. And a 0.76 to a 0.99, or perhaps 0.75 to 0.99 unit trading ratio is 8 points.
Flag contested.
And if you fully contest that flag with more than a full ratio of unit trading units, you're going to score 10 points for your team right there. So you'll notice that the teams throughout the top bracket, the bottom bracket, they often opt to have a defense with the large abundance of thrall just sitting on the flag, rather than helping the other players or the flanks. I mean, they're probably best suited for defense on such a long map, so to speak. It would take them quite a bit to even reach a mid. But you notice that, you know, when the teams were prepping and strategizing for these maps, they took that into consideration. And you'll see the large packs of thrall on those flags. Looks like Zap is looking to engage Copper here. He has the archer advantage. However, one of his archers looks like it's gonna go down. Zap will open up with some fire arrows there. And Snap's in a position to pinch the Alliance mid. They have 2 dwarves here against these Stygians. And Opus finally getting a shot off with his dwarf. It's gonna dud, unfortunately for him. Alliance is taking some hits over here. You'll see now Zap's bringing his archers back towards mid. They were undefended, and Copper's Stygians would have ate them up pretty quickly. And Zap doing what he can to archer dodge here. Probably some of the best archer dodging I've seen so far in the tournament. I mean, he's controlling more than one group, reacting to the enemy volleys. But Alliance is pinched here in the mid. And they've also lost their dwarf, controlled by Opus. You'll see City Hunter and Mortar coming to help do what they can to reinforce their position, but I don't know if this is holdable for Alliance, as Giblet and the Taoist Cheese combined archer groups is going to force those archers back for Alliance, although it seems they've become distracted by a single goal. And the number of dwarves here for the Snap forces really gives them a flexibility of they can have less melee units, but still be able to survive a confrontation with more melee units just by having those handy dwarves. And Alliance losing a lot of archers here. Zap is down to 1 archer left. It's his last percentage in the game. City Hunter doing what he can, and whoa, we got a dwarf going down for Snap. Combination of City Hunter and Zap. But it looks like Snap is going to come away with the victory in the mid here. At least in terms of that skirmish, they're able to pick off a number of Alliance archers, at least 10 in that regard. We got a 13% lead to Snap. No doubt they are ahead in damage, as Rust Dragon has commentated. He's going to bring his dwarf down from the battlement. And Zap unimpressed with his work. Destroyed Ick. We have 3 minutes and 40 seconds here. We'll have to see what goes on. As you can notice here, Mortor is breaking away from the defense of the Alliance home flag. they've got dwarves up high on the battlements to support their ground forces. And Mortor might actually be going for a run on the offense here with his 19%. Albeit Kensai and Giblet are only pushing with about 35% at the moment against about 45-50% or so. Just in between there, around 48-47. They're trying to poke away at these archers, which will open up room to pressure those dwarves back and put some melee on that flag. Meanwhile, Mortor going completely unchecked here. Snap has some players making a comment about it. Taoist Chi is saying scout the west to Dinsdale. I can't even find this player's units. Yes, he had the gold pack. He's gonna go see all those warriors, and this dwarf has a lot of work to do to even the odds between that defense and those warriors. They're gonna get 10 points alone. You know, that original 2 points will be counted out. Like, you can forget about it. Add 8 onto it if you want to remember it, because a full UT contest is 10 points.
Flag contested.
And Vulch throwing down some satchels here, taking some damage with his goal. Mortor proceeding to the flag. Looks like Dinsdale is moving away with him. He might want to stay on his tracks just to help the defense. 3 goals can take out a warrior. However, there's about 20 warriors here, and all these other units are going to have to come into play for Snap's defense. Meanwhile, Copper's saying, let's attack. Taoist Chi contest attack. I mean, Snap has to get moving here. They've lost their archers. Percentages have swung back into Alliance's favor. And I'm not sure if they're even going to be able to take this flag, as Copper's getting pushed now. He's lost all his archers in the process of pushing. This melee going into work. He should win that melee fight handedly. Will he have time to contest the flag? We will find out. As Giblet just staying out of range of Synapsed dwarf. Mortor is showing up at the home flag here.
Flag contested.
And Copper and Taoist Chi are going to dig right in. Taoist Chi not utilizing his flame arrows on this dwarf, which would most definitely help them out, and Mortor is definitely going to secure this flag. The dwarf just completely out of position to help. Left the high ground over there. And Snap unable to stay on their flag. That will be the game, folks. Alliance is going to take that. They have 48% remaining. They capture a flag. Combined, I believe that is 19 points. And Snap, on the other hand, they had an interesting contest going on. Looking at the math here on the website, looks like they were between that 0.75, 0.99 unit trading ratio comparison to the their attacking forces and the Alliance defense forces. And that's going to net them 8 points for that, but getting eliminated here, losing their percentages at the end of the game. Very unfortunate. I'm not sure if they had the units to take this flag regardless. Taoist Chi had quite a bit of work to do for his dwarf. It was just getting into the action. It would have had to have cleaned up a lot of this, as Giblet would have been taking hits on the way in. City Hunters, archers just poking away at it. Would have been very difficult for Snap to pull it off. Great play by Mortar. Just sees the opening, goes around the map. Snap just leaves it unchecked. They run into trouble trying to push, especially with the high ground, and their high ground fairly undefended and unable to help the Thrall here. This dwarf just completely becoming useless, unfortunately. But that's how the game went, folks. You see here for the kills and the damage versus time for both teams. Lions taking the early lead in kills. Snap coming back. They had that BC lead, and then when they're trying to push, and Mortar is just cleaning up this flag defense, the kills for Alliance skyrocket. Meanwhile, damage pretty close throughout the game. Snap getting a small lead at some point. However, Alliance quickly securing that back as Snap looked to push, and once again left that attacking force unchecked. Going into the sweet statistics here. Starting off with Alliance. We have Synapsed, 10 kills, 0 losses, 89 damage. City Hunter, 13 kills, 3 losses, 85 damage. Mortar, with that attacking force, he's going to secure 9 kills, 24 damage, 1 loss. Only takes 1 loss in that entire push, this poor little warrior right there. But quite an honorable push. Red Dog going 6 and 2 with 11 damage. Opus 4 and 13, 38 damage. And Zap 2 and 10, 74 damage. Vulch going 0-0. No kills, no damage for the Vulch, but he does lose a unit. I believe it was his goal. It was a scout goal. So despite having that player advantage, Alliance only gives one of their players 1 goal. It ends up dying in that assault. Does a lot of the scouting work for them. Not a huge impact on the game overall. But let's go into Snap, Krackle, Die statistics here. Kensai 1 and 9 with 12 damage. He was Snap's captain. Taking quite a bit of losses in the endgame push, I believe. Probably wrong there. Try to find his dead units as we move over to Copper, one of the assaulting players for Snap. He goes 14 and 11, 77 damage. I believe now Kensai's Thrall might have actually been Kensai's units might have been home. What does it matter? Anyway, best damage and kills out of Copper's push. He does get hit pretty hard by City Hunter's archers there. Unfortunately, he is his melee just not able to do much at the end here. Get killed in the process of contesting, unfortunately for him and his teammates. Next up, Taoist Chi was coming in from the northwest. He went 7 and 8, 64 damage. Giblet pushing in from the mid here. He went 2 and 7, 63 damage. Rust Dragon on the defense, 2 and 9, only 15 damage. If he had been able to work that dwarf into the defense for his team here, would have been quite a different story in terms of damage. And last but not least, Dinsdale 0 and 1, very similar statistics to the Vulch, working that scout goal position for his team. He had a couple more goals than the Vulch, and actually had a good eye on that Alliance team. You'll see that later on he moved it to the offense. I suppose it wouldn't have done much good on defense, although it could have prolonged an opportunity for a contest and for this dwarf to finally get in position, but all is said and done, and that is going to wrap up game 1, folks. So far we have Alliance leading in the match by 11 points. They win this game 19-8. We'll be moving on into game 2 up next. Thank you all for viewing and watching. I hope you enjoy the cast, and stay tuned, and GG.